Welcome back. You're listening to the Flow Friday Sports Show here on Flow FM, and it's time to catch up with Veg Ingram, President of the Gawler and District Softball Association. A massive weekend of grand finals to talk about. Veg, good to have you on again. How are you?
Very good, thank you, Ellis. You would not believe the week we've had with softball.
Twists and turns are plenty, that is for sure. Let's start with the men's, though. They're still alive, Veg, and they've got a grand final to prepare for. So tell us how we got to this. The Gawler Giants men's side, bit of a slow start if memory serves correctly, but here we are, they're in a grand final.
I know, I couldn't believe it. So the men played the top team Hillbillies on Sunday, who went undefeated all season. The men started off batting and got some runs on the board early, which was really good, and they held them tight in the field, and at the bottom of the seventh, they were 3 runs up. So all they needed was some outs and they would win the game, and they had a catch to centre field and a put out at first and a fly ball at first to win the game, 8 runs to 5. It was a fantastic effort. So this week they progressed through to the grand final and play against Tigers, and this game's going to be played at West Beach and is going to be live streamed. Now, Tigers have a very good pitcher and some really big hitters, but Giants have held their own last weekend and have been playing really well lately. So let's get behind the Giants and hope they take out the premiership this year.
It is fantastic news. It means that we'll have you on for another week, Veg. So looking forward to hearing about how they get on this weekend. But it's all about talking about the grand finals that were played out last weekend. So we'll get you to give us some fairly lengthy reviews of all these games. We'll start with the under-14s. So the Kangas, a pretty good day for them. They got up over the Giants. Tell us how this one went.
Yeah, so this one was an extremely close game all the way through, which is what you would expect from a grand final. Both pitchers did really well with some big hits from both sides, and there was definitely some aggressive base running on both sides. The scores were tied pretty much at the bottom of the 7th inning, so it was close all the way through. Kangas had the last bat, so all they needed was 1 run to score, and they managed to score that last run to win the game, 8 runs to 7, and the best on ground for the under-14s went to Kangas Lewis Reynolds. So congratulations for Lewis for playing such a fantastic game.
There we have it, and a big congratulations indeed. Under-17s, a very similar story. Kangas getting up this time over the Bluejays. Give us a wrap-up of this one.
Yeah, so this game wasn't as close as the under-14, but both teams fought really hard throughout the game, and it could have gone either way. Bluejays definitely held their own, the young Bluejays side, but Kangas really tightened in the field and had some really consistent batting, and they took the lead to win that game, 17 runs to 9, and best on ground went to the Kangas pitcher, Alex Hill, who did a fantastic job on the mound on Saturday.
Well done, Alex. Before we talk about the seniors, Veg, I just want to ask you, did you observe any difference in how the juniors sort of fronted up for their grand finals compared to the seniors? Is it a case that the juniors just sort of go through the week and don't really think about it too much, and because they've got other things going on in their lives, it's sort of not really a pressure that gets to them as much as the seniors who might dwell on it a bit more?
I think it really depends on the player. For those juniors that have played grand finals before, you kind of know what to expect and kind of the anticipation leading up to it. Whereas you have some young ones that might see it just as another game, just the last game of the season, and the adults might be getting a little bit excited and hyped up about it, but not potentially understanding the implications, I guess. It is the final game, and it is such a big one, the grand final, and they can really go either way. But I think all the clubs have really been, I guess, more strategic around how they trained as well, which I think would have been a difference for all the juniors as well, knowing that this is the specific team you're playing. So how does this team behave? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What do we need to work on at training to prepare them ready for the grand final with that is the team that they're playing? So I think that was a big difference, I think, this week for the juniors, but they had a great time. After the games, we put on Subway for the kids, so they got some free food, and a lot of them did actually go on and play, particularly in the under-17s, go on and play in the senior grand finals as well. So there were a number of kids that played at least 2 grand finals that day, which is great to see them getting involved in that senior level and having that transition from the juniors to the seniors.
Lots of dynamics at play. Just paint the picture for us. How serious does it get at junior level? Because we're seeing a lot of conversations happen now about the fact that, we should actually kind of put the brakes on how much pressure we put the kids under when it comes to that competitive edge and being in a grand final. So, we see a lot of the social media sort of posts about signage going up saying, remember, these are kids, the referees are volunteers, etc., etc. What's it like out there in a grand final match day on Saturday across the mounds, Veg?
I think it really depends on the culture of the sport and the culture of the clubs that are involved. So some sports definitely have more spectator over enthusiasm, shall we call it, than other sports. And whereas softball doesn't, I think, have it as much because it's not one of those traditional sports where parents understand and have played the sport, therefore have a lot more emphasis and input into the game. Softball's not necessarily as regular as, say, the footballs and the soccers of the world. But I think within our Gawler competition, I think we're really lucky. We have some fantastic clubs. They're well run, and we don't necessarily have the issues that a lot of sports and clubs have in relation to over-enthusiasm of coaches and spectators as much as what I'm aware happens in other associations in other sports. So we've been very lucky, and if there are any over-enthusiastic coaches or spectators, they are definitely addressed at a higher level within the committee to make sure that people understand that it is a kids' sport and they're here to play sport and have fun, and it's not for sheep stations. And I think that's really critical in junior sport, to get those kids coming back and having that passion and that love for sport, and not really, wanting to put that additional pressure on them that isn't needed at that level.
Well said. Let's talk about the senior side of things, Veg. Div 2, 2 wells, 2 good for the Kangas. What did you make of this one?
Oh, this was another close game. Out of all the finals, this one could have gone either way. It was a very close game. No team scored in the first innings. Kangas scored in the second to take the lead, and then 2 Earls had some great pitching and some defence and held Kangas to just that 1 run throughout the game, and they ended up scoring a further 4 runs to win the game. 4 runs to 1. So congratulations for 2 Wells. And the best on grounds went to the 2 Wells pitcher, Narelle Stevens. So Narelle's had a few seasons off and has come back, and she did a fantastic job on the mound this week. So congratulations to 2 Wells.
Absolutely, and well done to the side for taking out Div 2. In Div 1, it was the Bluejays getting up, and what an accomplishment, beating Kangas Blue. Tell us how they did it, Veg.
Yeah, this was a good battle. And Alice, you never know how grand finals are going to go. It can really go either way. It's a completely different game. So Kangas Blue dominated all season and finished on top of the ladder in the minor round. Blue Jays finished 3rd in the minor round. Blue Jays were very tight in the field, holding Kangas to no runs, and managed to score a few runs themselves in the first innings. Both teams scored in the second. And going into the final inning, so they're playing 7-inning games, Blue Jays had 4 runs. So Kangas just needed 4 runs or 5 runs to win the game, to keep the game going. The first 2 of Kangas batters hit fly balls, which were caught. The third one hit a ground ball to shortstop that was thrown to first for the out. And Blue Jays end up winning 7 runs to 3. And the best on ground went to Blue Jays' Stacey McKenzie.
Well done to the side there, Veg, and an amazing accomplishment, really. Let's talk about the President's Trophy presentation. So this involved you handing out some awards. Tell us more.
Yeah, so each season we have a President's Trophy. It's a perpetual trophy that gets handed around, and it's someone that is awarded, I guess, by the President, myself. So this year it was awarded to the wonderful treasurer, Phil Stewart. We also know him as Mr. Softball. So Phil's coached at his local club over a number of years. He's also coached at the Senior State Championships. He's always there to help set up, pack up the diamonds, put the nets away shades. He's always offering to help. He goes above and beyond, which is fantastic. As we know, there's a lot of clubs out there struggling for volunteers and getting people to step up, and Phil has just been a fantastic support, and he's really kept the association going. So this year I awarded it to Phil for his amazing efforts, not only for this season, but for the past few seasons as well. He's done a fantastic job. And Alice, I'd just like to say, really hoping that there might be some listeners out there that have really enjoyed hearing about softball and might like to give it a go. And there are a number of regional softball associations in South Australia and Victoria. So please, if you're interested in playing softball, reach out and get involved in this fantastic sport.
Well, Veg, I was getting getting you ready for a bit of a sign-off this week, but no need for that because we'll have you back next week to talk about the men's side. So we will speak to you then. Thanks so much for your time. That is Veg Ingram, the president of the Gawler and District Softball Association. Take care, Veg.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ella. See you.